Good afternoon, Coach Kelly. When you're ready, go ahead with the opening statement, then we'll go to John Finneran for the first question.
Okay. Practice 4 today for us. We were able to get quite a bit of situational work in and scrimmaging. And so, a really good day from that perspective. I think we probably got in about a half hour of 11 on 11 work. 20 minutes of it was live tackle. So, real good work that, we really haven't had. I mean, as I reminded the group today, we had one spring practice and then it became really about getting our guys ready for the season and, tactically and technically ready for Duke. And so we really didn't have a chance to develop, guys in different positions and position flexibility, situational work. So this was, as a coach, this was a good day because we got to work on, players in different positions. And, I know you guys kind of look at the B-roll we send out, and I would try to be careful to not look too far into, this is the starting lineup. We're really trying to build position flexibility right now. Josh Lugg is playing guard and he's playing tackle. Carmody's playing center and he's playing, tackle. Christophic's playing center and guard. So it's I'm using the offensive line as an example because those guys we're trying to build a lot of positional flexibility there. Our safeties are playing right and left safety in the spring. Our corners are playing right and left corner. So when we get into the season, we don't get hamstrung on boundary. Well, he's only taking reps into the boundary, so he doesn't know how to use a cloud technique. So anyway, really good day from that perspective. And I'll turn it over to you, John, in terms of question.
Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Bryan. I wonder if you could assess the quarterback play so far that you've seen this spring, specifically on each one of the players. And then also, could you assess what you see on the offensive line?
Yeah, so really, I think the way Tommy's got it set up, which is, what we've wanted is a battle between Jack, Jack Cohn and, I think, Drew Pine. Those two guys are really, getting equal reps with the first and second group. So a good battle there that, again, we're in, practice 4. So, I think we evaluate that from day to day. One day we see some good things from Drew, and then Jack does some really good things. So I think that's a battle that continues to take shape. Today, we started to see some of the rust come off of Tyler Buckner. Today was a really good day for him. He was much more comfortable out there. Threw the ball with a lot more confidence, and I say this in that he hadn't played football for a year, so it was nice to see him out there. He had a smile on his face. He had some confidence. In all those mid years, I actually commented after practice, man, what a whirlwind for those guys. We throw them right into the deep end, academically. In the weight room and then on the football field, and they're doing a terrific job, and Tyler's no exception to that. So good day for Tyler, but each one of them a little bit different from that perspective. I think I've kind of talked a little bit on the offensive line. Everybody's kind of, we're giving everybody a look at an opportunity at different positions, and there's very competitive opportunities for each position. And I mean that for all of them. So, I could probably give you 10 guys right now, 13 guys in total that are all, kind of competing for different positions. The left tackle is an interesting one with, Blake Griffin, obviously Blake Fisher out there. Blake Griffin, he'd be pretty good. He'd probably be a pretty good football player, but Blake Fisher at left tackle with Tosh Baker, that's an interesting one, right? Those two guys kind of battling out. Rocco Spindler's getting a lot of work at the left guard position. As I mentioned, we've got two guys working in at center, and Carmody and Christophic, and then, the tackle position. We've moved Quinn Carroll out to get some tackle work as well. So it's really fun in that respect, because they're all getting a lot of work, and it's going to take some time.
All right, we're going to go to Tim Priester next.
Bryan, this question requires an abridged answer from you, because you could probably talk about it for a half hour, but just what do you see as the main differences in the Marcus Freeman difference compared to the previous guys? But more importantly, what are the differences? You could talk, I'm sure there are plenty of similarities, but what are the differences that you see?
I think our defensive structure will incorporate on first and second down more of a multiple look. We were much more of a 4-down defense. We will have hybrid of 3 and 4 down on first and second down. So it'll be more multiple on first down. I think, I just think in its, totality, there'll be a lot more similarities than things that are dissimilar. There are little nuances in terms of man coverage, I think, that will continue to play out as we move forward.
We'll go to Eric Hansen next. Go ahead, Eric.
All right, Coach, I got a couple for you. The first one is, Jack Cohn was such a prolific runner in high school, then wasn't required to do it at Wisconsin. I wonder how that part of his game fits into your offense. And then the second part of it is maybe kind of a run through of the wide receivers. Who's impressing you? Who do you have high hopes for?
So we're not afraid to run Jack. He is a better athlete than people have given him credit for. And maybe he hasn't been discredited. Maybe that's not fair to say. But he's a good athlete. He runs well. He's big. He's strong. So running him is certainly going to be part of our offense and what we ask him to do. As it relates to the wide receivers, who's been impressive? I think what we've been looking for is consistency in performance. And you're going to get that from Avery Davis. He's been a leader of the group. I think the guy that has caught my attention, or two guys have caught my attention. Now, this is only practice 4. So, I'm going to put an asterisk next to it. And they know why I'm putting an asterisk next to it, because it's practice 4. But Lindsey and Keys have been really good. Now, they have to be consistent, because that has been the area that they haven't been for us. They haven't been consistent. But they've made a commitment in the weight room that is different than what we've seen in the past. These guys have been outstanding in the weight room. And you can see it in the way they are translating that onto the field. They're explosive. They're running out. They're breaking tackles. You can see it in the way that they're practicing and playing. So I would say Lindsey and Keys, and that takes, nothing away from any of the other receivers. I know you guys love Jordan Johnson, and he's doing a nice job. I think what I'm most impressed with Jordan is what he's doing in the classroom right now. He's really turned the corner there, and you can start to see that confidence showing itself on the football field too.
Next question is going to come from Patrick Engel.
Brian, when you mentioned last week that Myron's going to play some defensive end, it seems like one of the beneficiaries of that would be Jason Ademilola. What have you seen from him in the last 2 years, and then particularly in the last couple of games after he came back from that surgery that impressed and would seem to have a role for you guys next year?
So two things, right? I mean, this is pretty common when we're talking about good interior play. He doesn't stay blocked, and he makes plays. He makes tackles, and that's a mark of a good player. He's a guy that grades out very high. When he's in there, he's been very, very efficient as a football player for us. So, sometimes we kind of kid about, how do you get guys off blocks? You just yell louder, because it's almost an innate ability to do it. Some guys are good at it. Some guys not quite as good. It's just, a natural ability, and he's got some natural ability.
Up next, we'll have a question from Bryan Driskell.
Coach, I want to kind of ask a big picture question. You've talked about your offense its identity is going to be based on your talent. And of course that evolves every year. Can you just kind of give an idea of what that process looks like when you kind of finish the 2020 season? You look at the returning personnel. What's the process look like to say, okay, how do we go about establishing what our personnel is and what we do best, and how does it get to the point where what we're going to do in the fall?
Yeah. So, you establish those things, when you get on the field. And so when we went into last year, we knew that we had established ourselves on the field with a returning offensive line. So we were going to build it with a returning offensive line and a quarterback. And we felt like that was going to be with the certainty of the offensive line and the quarterback, and not knowing what we had at the wide receiver core, we were going to commit ourselves, to being, a team that was going to, exert its physicality on the offensive line. Now we move into 21 with less certainty on the offensive line, less certainty at the quarterback position. And, now we know that we've got to score points. So we're going to go into this spring and we're going to kind of find out where it is that this offense will operate most efficiently, and so where we had a much better understanding of where we were going to go this spring is really about trying to establish how will this offense serve itself best with the players that we have and those that will be playing a great deal for us, serve itself best in terms of scoring points. This is about scoring. And so we're going to use this spring and preseason to kind of, put that together.
Next question is going to come from Lou Samoji with Blue and Gold.
Good afternoon, Coach. You talked about all the flexibility, especially along the offensive line, but what about defense? Who are maybe some of the personnel? We've talked about Myron moving some to the end, but I've noticed like Isaiah Pryor is listed at safety, but you also have him as rover. What's some of the dynamics there as far as cross-training people?
Well, Pryor's playing close to the ball. He's not playing back at the safety position. So you can count on, Pryor at the rover position with Moala, who has not practiced yet, and Kaiser. The cross training and is really about, positionally not locking him into, a field safety, boundary safety, field corner, boundary corner. We want those guys to be able to play on, right and left, so that if we do have to move guys around, we're able to do it. So the comments were really addressing the group of guys that we have at those positions, and not really saying, okay, this is a free safety, this is a strong safety. The guys that are in there are you already know who they are. So we're not adding anybody to the mix. The Will linebackers, the Buck linebackers, the Vipers, they're all the same guys. We're just trying to add a little bit more flexibility in terms of their ability to play other positions. That's really all I was referring to.
Next question is going to come from Mark Skoll from WNDU.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, the state of Indiana is now allowing people over the age of 16 to get the coronavirus vaccine. I'm just curious, what is the plan for you guys and your team in the vaccine, and have you been given the vaccine yet?
Yes, I've had the vaccine. I've had both shots. We addressed our team on Friday. Dr. Leisler addressed the team. It is not mandatory. I will say that, though we did outline the advantages. So between April 10th and April 15th, our players will have the opportunity to get the first shot. And then 3 weeks later, they'll have the opportunity to get the second shot. We outlined some of the, obvious, advantages of having it. One of the big ones, obviously, would be that they could go home and not have to quarantine coming back. Others that are certainly on the horizon that have not been fully established yet would be smaller groups, no masks, the chance that we could potentially eat together in a sit-down meal, which they haven't done since December of 19. So again, we didn't mandate it, but we talked about the vaccine itself in terms of what it is, how it operates. So went through that in pretty good detail on Friday.
Coach, our last question is going to come from Tim O'Malley.
Hey, Coach, on Justin Adamiola, you mentioned Jason, who making plays when he gets the chance in there. It seems like that kind of defined Justin in his smaller sample size. Is his biggest challenge now similar to Ade's, where he's got more snaps and he has to hold up and make those plays?
Yes and no. I get the analogy, Tim. He's earned his snaps just as Ade has earned his snaps. Justin, one thing about Justin is he's a pretty smart player. He doesn't like when we look at him, and like last year when he got his opportunities, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like, you're not going to boot or running naked on him. He's going to be upfield in the right position. Reverses, he's really gap conscious. We want him obviously to cut it loose a little bit more. And I think he'll be given that opportunity, in the role that he's in now, that he's going to be getting more reps. But very, fundamentally sound player that now can take that next step now that he's going to be getting some more reps and cut it loose and be more of a playmaker.
All right, Coach, that is it. Thanks for joining us today.
Yep. Thank you.